am in. We're currently in Melbourne. We've just landed, and I'm in a car outside a restaurant that we're going to eat some dinner in.
Brilliant. So you're about to release your third album, Experts in a Dying Field, which is the follow-up to 2020's Jump Rope Gazers. This time you've been able to release an album and, you know, immediately get on with promoting it and touring it, unencumbered by a pandemic. How does it feel to have that freedom again?
It's pretty great. Yeah, the last album we released was it came out in July of 2020, so it was a very unique and peculiar way to, I think, release a record. Yeah, so this time it's just been great. We've been really busy, touring a lot since kind of February, and we started putting out singles from the new record a few months back, and it's been so great to be kind of on the road and put a song out, and then a couple of shows later people already know the words, people are singing along, and yeah, it feels like it gives you a real sense of purpose in a real tangible way, which is not to say that people listening to music very far away from you is not also real, but it just feels nice.
Did you approach the songwriting for Experts in a Dying Field differently, knowing that the world was opening up more? So, did you write some songs with more of a live audience in mind, for instance?
It was in the back of my mind, and that was something that when we actually got to the recording process was more front of mind, rather than when I'm writing. I feel there are things that I'm trying to aim for, but mainly they're just to do with writing a good quality song, or fulfilling what I think are my objectives for songwriting, or something, in terms of writing something that I really like and would want to listen to. But yeah, definitely when we were making mission statements for the album that we were going to record and make all together as a group, that was one of them, is make something that is fun to tour, and not and not too miserable.
Well, I think it definitely achieves that. I mean, you've got some of your most, ferociously paced music ever on this record, particularly in, Silence is Golden, for instance. It's absolutely full of energy. Tell me about the inspiration for that song. It's basically, from what I can tell from the lyrics, you lamenting the kind of restless noise and energy of a city, but perhaps it's more of a extended metaphor on life.
Yeah, it's I think it's tricky because people have different interpretations, and I'm not your interpretation is wrong. I think I prefer that people kind of find their own meaning in a song. But I think for me it kind of came from a place of I don't know, I guess kind of, for me, stress and anxiety can kind of manifest sometimes as wanting quiet, and just more noise just making me more stressed, and which is kind of an interesting position to be in as a musician, I feel because your life is noise. So I think it was just kind of, it just means that I think often when I'm really stressed, I think sometimes also a thing is that I don't necessarily gravitate to music to make me feel better when I'm that kind of out of it or something. If I find sometimes I just need kind of quiet.
Do you think that's a case of just getting older as well, kind of just appreciating the peace and quiet?
Maybe, yeah. It's a very un-rock and roll thing, but then it was fun to make a song that was kind of about that, and but kind of more manifesting just the chaos and the kind of stress part, rather than the quiet part.
So 2 a.m. is a really poignant closer to the album. Lyrics such as 2 a.m, we were pounding the pavement, and I wonder, could we be that way again, still awake, talking late in the kitchen? I find that those lyrics are really vivid. It's one of the many moments where it sounds like you're combing over a failed relationship. Is this one of romantic love or a friendship breakdown? I just was wondering if you could expand on that.
It's hard to get very specific because it starts be telling true stories about your life that you're not the only character in. But yeah, I feel like there was like a particular time where like I was, I don't know, just like close with people, and like it's maybe the like the bright line between like romantic and friendship or something didn't seem so bright, and I don't know, there was just like I felt a real closeness to just like people around me. And yeah, I think I, I think I wrote that song like in the middle of the night, and just I think I was just like thinking about that, and it just kind of like drew me back to a particular kind of time in my life when I think I was on my own for the first time. I was like living, I don't know, just like I was single for the first time in a long time, and having to figure out like what kind of person I was on my own. And I'm just rambling now. I don't know if this is anything interesting.
No,
Like
interesting.
I feel like people have probably got a similar timeline in their lives maybe, and yeah, I was just kind of like ruminating on that time.
Would you say all or most of your lyrics are autobiographical in some respect? They seem that they're very autobiographical to me anyway.
Yeah, they are. I kind of wish that they weren't, because I feel like it really opens up your songwriting capabilities when you can write about anything you want. But yeah, they definitely all start autobiographical, but you know, they blend. It's like the saying of like, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. I feel like with a song, it's kind of similar. Like they all start with a kernel of bio, what you call it, a biographic kernel, but then sometimes you like blend stories, or like sometimes I'll write from the perspective of like a good friend of mine, or of the person that I'm addressing or something. And you know, because at the end of the day, you also want to be making you're crafting a song, and you know, it doesn't feel like, it feels more like a film than a documentary.
And how does it feel to be known as one of Auckland's, and I mean, I suppose New Zealand's most sort of exciting, loved exports? You know, anecdotally, the reception you get here in the UK is great, and I've got lots of friends who, you know, hugely dig your music. Do you feel a certain pressure to kind of, you know, represent New Zealand and keep that momentum going? Because I feel like it can be a country that people perhaps can't name as many musical acts from. Just again, anecdotally speaking to friends, you know, they don't have loads of Kiwi bands on their radar.
Yeah, sure. It's a small country. It's like 5 million people, maybe 5.5. So yeah, it's. I feel like in those terms, I feel like we bet above our weight, considering how few of us there are. But it feels good. Like we like being from there. Touring is fun for us. I feel like people don't have a lot of baggage about New Zealanders or something, and they're just like, oh, Lord of the Rings, or like, oh, Flight of the Conchords, and you're like, I like both of those things, so I'm fine with that.
Oh, I was reading your album credits, and I was curious. There's quite a lot of use of the Maori names, like, I can never pronounce this, sorry, Otarua.
Right.
Yeah. Are you trying to be respectful, or is that kind of normal practice among Kiwis to use the Maori equivalent when you're talking about countries and the country?
Yeah, Aotearoa, New Zealand. Yeah, it's I guess it's tricky to explain. I guess because we're a colonized country, so there's there is an attempt, even in the mainstream, which I think is something that like maybe isn't the case elsewhere. Even in the mainstream of New Zealand, there is a solid like push and to make like use of the Maori language, which is that Maori people are the indigenous people of New Zealand. And I have to be careful because like I'm talking for a culture that I don't belong to, but like and there's still obviously a long way to go. But yeah, it's part of that in New Zealand. It manifests as like using the language. It's like right now it's Te Wikia Māori. It's Māori Language Week in New Zealand, and there's a real push to, maybe it's similar to like I guess you're in the UK, like similar to like in Wales, where like there's a real push culturally to be using the language, and especially to make sure that the that the people, like the Māori people who, you know, only a couple of generations ago would have had literally the language beaten out of them, are kind of like able to access it again. And because this is such a huge part of the culture. Again, I'm way out of my depth talking here, but I just yeah, it's but part of the culture of New Zealand is to you know, be incorporating the language more into everyday life.
Oh no, that's interesting, and it's good to hear, definitely. Phoebe Bridgers has described your music as bringing her unbridled joy. How does it feel to have an artist as big as that, you know, giving you shout outs like that?
It's nice. I think she's such a great songwriter. It feels like a great compliment, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. It feels pretty good.
Have you met her before?
No.
Wow.
Maybe one day she'll come to New Zealand. We can climb a volcano together or something.
So how do you want experts in a dying field to make people feel when they press play?
I want, I don't know. I guess I want it to feel like a book that you enjoy and can read again, and kind of keep leafing through and highlight bits that you like from or something. I want it to feel like a comfortable friend.
Brilliant. And what kind of acts were you listening to while writing this record? Was there any particular big inspirations for it?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to like narrow things down in that way, but I guess compared to like the first two records, there's more like influence of there's a band called Breast and Cake that I really like. This, and really, I like, there's a song that's like a bit folk punk. Like we're big Jeffrey Lewis fans. I really like that kind of like style, and I love his songwriting. It's so great. And I don't know what else. There's like a bit of like radio rock kind of vibes, like When You Know You Know, is that kind of tempo, like Teenage Dirtbag or something. But also we listen to a lot of like Crowded House because we played those shows with them earlier last year, and it's just, the songwriting is just so beautiful. Yeah, like it's always a lot of different things, but those are some that kind of stick out a little.
When you think back to Future Me Hates Me and Jump Rope Gazers, your first two albums, you know, when you're thinking about those, do you feel like this is your strongest record? Where do you stand with it? Because I think it is.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Feel like rank your albums. Okay, I'll do it. I just think it's really good. Like I'm really proud of it. Like I think we've managed to make something really good, and I'll rank it number one. Go on. Let's do it.
We're in agreement. So moving away from the album chat, I'm just curious, you know, a band of your size, are you in a position, and perhaps you have been for a while, that, you know, this is your full-time job, it's your full-time focus, or do you still have to work on other jobs elsewhere?
Yeah, we've managed to make it our full-time job, but I say it's full-time, it's not paying a full-time salary, but the four of us for the last couple of years have been like mainly focusing on this, with like some other things like, you know, freelance work to take it up. And during the pandemic was, you know, we were home a lot, so
what would freelance work be? What would freelance work be, like songwriting for other people, or
for me, I wasn't doing anything else. I was just doing this because, but it's because in New Zealand we were really lucky in the breaks. When we had like lockdowns and stuff, we had some government support, so like that was able to kind of keep getting paid to do my job, which was this. But yeah, for John, it's like John will produce records for other people, or things like that, and recording and that kind of production stuff. And Tristan was doing a bit of, he's a teacher, so he was doing some relief teaching, and Tristan would have been doing some filling in teaching as well, and a bit of like lawn mowing for filling in for his dad. His dad's lawn landscaper.
For the interest of our viewers, by the way, John is guitarist, vocalist and keyboardist, and Tristan is your drummer and vocalist. It always feels a bit overkill to ask this when you're just about to release your new album, but have you started working on your next record?
I haven't. I haven't yet. I will as soon as I get the time. It's been pretty nonstop. Like since we handed in this record, we've basically been touring nonstop, and so we have we have a bit of time over the summer, so I'll catch my breath and then maybe start writing, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have any feelings right now? I mean, again, it's probably too early to ask of where thematically or sonically you might want to take your next record. Will it be kind of if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach? You've got your lovely 4-part harmonies and your power pop and your indie drive behind all the songs you write, but can you see yourself doing any kind of huge, I don't know, development curveball with what's coming?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like we have to do some kind of thinking and talking, because you ask these questions before you make a third record too. You're like, okay, we've made 2 records. The third one, do you want to do something really different? And we kind of were like, no. I think we wanted to make something that was, like still exploring new things and like still like as good as we could possibly make it. But we weren't like, let's make a synth record. Like it was still like, let's make a Beths record, but like as good as we can make it. But yeah, like a 4th record, it's like, well, now we've made 3 albums. It does kind of feel like maybe you have to start, I don't know, try something different. But I don't know, maybe you fight that. Maybe you do something really different that people don't like on the 4th record, and then you make a really good 5th record, and it's like, you get the journey.
That's an option. But I think you're very good at what you do, and I would happily hear more of what I'm hearing now. So so what's next for the band? Could you just briefly tell us what gigs you've got coming up, where you're headed next?
Well, we're in Australia at the moment, so if you know any Australians, tell them to come along. It should be fun. And then we'll be heading home and doing a big New Zealand tour, which is great. Always nice to do kind of a homecoming one. And then we have a bit of break over summer. It's our summer, winter for you. But we're back into it from kind of early 2023, back touring. I promise we'll be back in the UK in 2023, and it will be really fun.
Fantastic. Okay, well, before I go, is there anything else you want to add that you didn't feel like you had time to say or anything?
I don't know. Thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Buy our album. Stream.
Oh, buy our album. Yeah. Expand a Dying Field. Follow us on socials. For some reason we have we sell a decent amount of records, which is great, and but we for some reason don't have as many likes on socials, which is often what people use as a metric for a band doing well. So
get following them.
Give us a token like.
Yes. Brilliant. Okay, well, I think dinner is calling for you, so I'll let you go. Thank you very much for chatting to me, Liz, and best of luck with all the promotion and everything. Thanks for speaking to me.
All right, have a lovely day.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.